Hello everybody, and welcome to a game called Dagon. This game is, I don't remember. I don't know anything about it. I remember that I had a reason why I wanted to get it. I just had it. Alright, let's just start. Dagon is a faithful interaction and adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on the story and atmosphere. Do not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here. The movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
No more. Yeah.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
The squalid street below.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death. It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Okay, so I can't wait until the gameplay starts. This is the gameplay. Okay, now that's fine. I just have to wait for each time the voices go off. This would be a great battle scene, right? Like you see this, you're walking up from behind here, right? And then like you're looking over the horizon. You're probably leaning on that thing right there, that barrier. You're looking at that boat. Boom! Tentacles come out. They destroy the boat, and then you have to fight the Kraken, right? But you have to defeat its tentacles first, and then you get to get close into it. I'm a game designer. Wait, what happened?
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
We were the naval prisoner? Oh, thank God I got the zoom feature that zooms in 3%.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Give me that. My provisions.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
There's the sun, and these are the stars. I think if you're rowing all day, this is actually what you see.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
When did I light that? Oh, we're going to the moon now.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I would vaguely say an interactable movie. It's just a movie in which it's stopping at some points to allow me to talk. Well, hello there.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know.
Alright, just so you guys know, I chose this over hanging out with people.
For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
That's awesome. I would love that. Wow, it's just a bunch of
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Is this actually like written in H.P. Lovecraft?
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of silly. If you don't have a vignette around it, it would be 1,000 times sillier.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Yeah, stop talking. I've got that. I'm just up there right now. Well, I was up there and I'm gonna come down. But, I felt like I was watching a sea documentary for a split second. It was just like, what is this? It's like if a sea documentary was taken over by a Cult of Cthulhu type people. Right? Never mind.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Do I look at the sun? No, I look behind me, of course.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Fish.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
That's stupid.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
We're in the land?
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Dead thing.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
What was that? Ew, what is this? What is behind me? Ew, what was that? Okay.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
That sounds cool, though. Like, if your theory is correct, that's cool.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Ew. I looked at you back.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
That's cool.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
So how did that happen? Right? It's just... It must be horrible to walk on that.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Yes! I don't think you understand what's going on around you. There's like a doodad in the sand. That's nasty. That's actually nasty. I'm gonna vomit. Don't go touch it. Like grazed it. Ugh.
That night, I encamped,
You
and on
are
the following
only
day
finding
still travelled
mythical
toward the
creatures.
hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first
How'd
espied
you
it.
survive this and they didn't? Where are you going, buddy? Where do you think you're going?
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
It's a mountain.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain,
In need of water.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
Right.
And in the glow of the moon,
What
I
was it,
saw
though?
how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Yeah.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Okay. Crest. The crest. What?
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Vague horror, yeah.
But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or
You
canyon,
should slide down it, you know? I think that'd be pretty cool.
whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Can I look at the view?
I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Oh, that's cool.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost,
What is Paradise Lost?
and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Am I doing good in this gameplay? I just hope you guys...
As the moon climbed
Like my
higher in the
gameplay.
sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
What do you mean by that?
Ledges and
Clear over the
outcroppings
edge.
of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Yeah, let's scale down the mountain.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Right, of course.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
It was the square.
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
It's like if you took a water layer and you just put it on a flat plane. Yeah, I see it. Oh, yeah, you want me to go down there. Why not just put the quest marker on the...
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Oh, yeah, just merely.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the
perfectly
work of
rectangular.
nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith,
Yeah, we could see.
whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and
Feels like I'm reading
thinking
the
creatures.
book, you know? Feels like I'm reading it, but like it's better.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientists' or archaeologists'
I like
delight,
this. If we can make
I
books like
examined
this.
my surroundings more closely.
Interactive books. Right? I mean, it takes away
The
some...
moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
We should swim out there.
Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of
How did we get up here?
hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in
Did we
books.
just grow 30 feet tall? Are we flying?
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi,
These are perfect
crustaceans,
these are
mollusks,
perfect
whales,
depictions
and
of
the like.
animals. Right, what is this? These aren't symbols. That is a definite shark. That's a turtle.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world,
Obviously.
but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Yeah.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound. Plainly visible across the
Where can
intervening
we go
water,
after
on
that?
account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
What does that mean?
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine
I'm glad
which
someone was
appeared
able
to
to
be
take
under the
these
waves
like
as well.
literature and turn them into visuals like this.
Of their faces and forms I dare not
Maybe it's
speak
the
in
opposite.
detail,
We turn visuals into a story.
for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Ew. The one on the top is really not doing. Oh, look at the one on the right.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby
Why
lips,
are they so well depicted?
glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their
Badly.
scenic background.
This is chiseled badly. This is art.
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size,
Yeah, that would make sense if they could kill whales.
but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring
Really?
tribe. Some tribe whose last
In this
descendant had
random
perished
island?
eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or
You've
Neanderthal man
seen their
was
dead
born.
bodies. You've seen their dead bodies.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent
Cast
channel
what
before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it,
What?
with only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface. The thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Let's back up. You know, why don't we just take a step back?
Vast, Polyphemus-like and loathsome,
What the
it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Scared me.
I
And we
think
just
I
black
went
out.
mad then.
Just black out.
Of
Why?
my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Why would you go insane by just seeing it? Is it like a psychic magic thing? Or is it just, oh, it's too horrifying? It's physically just disgusting. And that made me go insane. You're kind of a bigot. Oh yeah, this is frantic.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
What? Oh, we're going back to the boat.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
So I
At
went
any
insane
rate,
by looking at
I
it.
know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
No. Has the thing been following me? Like, what's so scary about it?
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital,
Oh, wow.
brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
So, did that or did it not actually happen?
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Was that mean a lot? A little?
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Okay, so maybe no.
Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Right. Smart. This place is...
Once I sought out a
Destroyed.
celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of
Dagon.
Dagon, the fish god.
Dagon. Dagon. Is that the name of this? Is it not Dragon? Is it Dagon? Question it. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines' worship throughout the Middle East, of the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The ruler of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead, as the Assyrian poem, and the underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He's often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretations of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. Is it dag or dog? In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, the humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the ocean. He's worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. You can read to discover them. You go back. Okay. Let us get up out of our seats and go look.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Hopelessly conventional. Oh my god. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He's also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's work after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It's also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology. The term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Yeah, just crack my head and look behind me. What? Why look me in that direction? I didn't need to look in that direction at all.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning,
Gibbous.
that I see the thing.
Oh, am I about to jump out my window?
I tried morphine, but the
Was it
drug
good?
has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Right.
So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Yeah, amusement. Actually, that's the reason I'm here. Alright, can I just go click on the window? Okay.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
Probably.
A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man of war. This
maybe.
I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
Slime bed.
Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks
But
of
that's like a
water-soaked
common
granite.
fear we have now. It's just like, we have only mapped 5% of the world's ocean. What could be out there? Right?
I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind.
Right.
Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
They're coming to America! No! Not America! They're coming to take our freedom!
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh, that's cool.
It shall not find me.
That's why I'm going to walk towards the door. Oh, it's found me.
God, that hand!
That hand?
The window! The window!
To the windows! I did it, I won. Thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in the little pool of cosmic horror that we'd appreciate if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out the other games in DLC. Alright, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. If it's just me, there could have been a little bit more gameplay. Like I understand you wanted the visual thing. You didn't want really to have any variation on the story. I get that, right? You want to tell your story your way, and sometimes even have it so your character's looking in a specific direction at a specific time, right? And that can be hard to do without proper restrictions, right? I like it. I think it was cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, please like, comment down below, and subscribe when you're here. Make sure to ring the notification bell to be notified when new videos. It helps a lot. And yeah, I will see you guys in a different game. Love you guys. Bye.